Good morning all, it's Lynn here from Destiny Fulfilled. I do hope that today finds you well. The card that I have the card that I have pulled for the selective today is the Ace of Wands. And I think I mentioned the other day that I'm feeling a rising of energy. So the energy for me has been quite flat of late, not as feeling dynamic as it possibly could be, but definitely over the last few days I'm feeling that rising of energy coming through. And for me, here in Australia where I live, obviously we're in spring at the moment, moving towards summer. So for me, that's that energy is starting to rise. However, I do feel that in spring, but in summer here where I live, particularly in Australia, I live in southeast Queensland. So, for me, the summer is actually my more dormant time because of the heat, right, and the humidity more than the heat necessarily. But I feel very drained during those very hot summer months, so I don't cope as well as what I do. So spring, autumn and winter are my most favourite times where I live currently, but I do feel that rising of energy, and that's what the Ace of Wands is really depicting here for us today. So it's a new idea, seed of potential, inspiration, spark of an idea, illumination, creation, willpower, manifestation, very similar to the energies that we've had over the last couple of days. It can also represent intense creativity and fanning the fires of those inspirations. But the thing with the Ace of Wands, all aces, right, is they are the spark of whatever it is they represent, right? We have to do something with that spark, otherwise it will dissipate and leave us just as quickly as it come to us, right? And we don't always, as I said the other day, we don't always act on all of the ideas and sparks and inspiration that we have, right? We only act on the ones that we feel strongly pulled to, and then we start to bring that into form, right? So, and as I said, we are creative beings. I think I mentioned that the other day where, as human beings, this is what we do. We create our reality with every single thought, action, decision, way that we react, the way that we don't react, all of the things that we do every second, every minute, every day of our lives is creating our reality that we live in at this point in time. So this is a very powerful, strong spark of something that is coming to you today, and that will manifest itself very differently for everybody because we're all on different journeys. But this card calls for us to determine what it is that we wish to create with this boundless potential that is coming to us today. What is it that we actually wish to take hold of, right? Is there something there or isn't there, right? It doesn't mean that for every single one of us on this planet, or for every single one of us that has the potential to watch this video, that we will all be experiencing a similar thing, right? It just doesn't work like that. But the underlying energy is that there is the potential spark of something that is quite possible or potential for you, and you need to decide, well, am I going to do something with that spark when it comes my way? So some questions you might want to ask yourself or journal on is, how do I remain open and watchful and see these sparks of inspiration that come our way? Or am I closed off to seeing those more readily? For a long time, and I think I've mentioned this before in another video, for a long time I did not feel this inspiration, this spark of new ideas. I was so busy doing the drudge work of making my living, supporting my family, the more mundane tasks. And drudge work sounds like it's a negative thing, and it's not actually a negative thing, right? It's more the mundane tasks of actually, living our lives. We've all got to do them, right? We've all got to wash dishes. We've all got to clean. We've all got to, look after our families. We've all got to go to work if that's something that we do. We've all got things, mundane things that we have to do on a regular basis. And I know for myself, for a long time, I was caught up in those mundane activities, and I actually could not see, could not feel, could not experience regularly these, potential sparks of inspiration that were coming my way. And the way that I actually started to bring that into my life was I started painting. I started creating art. I started art journaling at roughly the same time, right? So for me, that was how I was getting my sparks of inspiration. I was getting it in my creative life, not necessarily my mundane life. But what I found over time was that spilled over into my mundane life. As I became more brave in my art practice, in my, my creative practice, and I started trusting those sparks, trusting those, ideas, inspirations, that also spilled over into my more mundane life, and I did start to recognize these sparks of inspiration that were around me, and I believe they were always there. I don't doubt that for a moment. It's just that I had my blinkers on and was only seeing my life from a certain perspective. And that changed when I brought in my creative practice, and I really started to become quite strong in my need to practice that creativity on a daily basis. And that was usually only, for 5-10 minutes, or it could be, an hour, depending on how much time I had available to me at the time. But that practice developed over time, and now I can't live without it. Like, to me, that is just who I am and what I do. I spend every day in some way for some time in a creative practice. And that has helped me build this creativity and hearing, seeing and feeling those sparks of inspiration that I was literally blind to in the past. So you may be experiencing something the same, and your creative practice may be completely different to mine. It can be whatever brings you joy, right? Whether you're good, bad, or indifferent at it, it doesn't matter. Am I the best artist in the whole world? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Am I even good? Most days, probably not. I don't care. But I enjoy doing what I'm doing. And have I improved over time? Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. I have my very first journal that I ever started. I drew my very first face. And I was never good at art when I was at school, right? So I always had this understanding that I was not an artist. I could never be an artist. I didn't have any artistic skill. What I did have, though, was I loved to make things. So I was always very, very, very crafty my whole life. And I dibbled and dabbled in and around that area for a very long time before I fell into mixed media art, painting and creating, and art journaling in particular. And for me, that was, sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. Why did I bring that up? So for me, it's not about whether you're good at something, right? It's not about that at all. It's about how do you feel when you are doing what you're doing? Does it allow you to go into the zone of creation? Does it allow you to put your worries, thoughts, and, those niggling things that are in your mind all the time off to the side for a period of time whilst you're doing what it is you're doing? So that will be very different for everybody. But it was one of my saving graces in my life, honestly. One that opened me up to trusting on the paper, right? Trusting that if I make this decision on paper, it will allow me to experience what it is I need to experience. And it's a safe place to do that, right? It's a piece of paper and it's a bit of paint. If it doesn't work out, then I scrap it. I just go back to doing something else, right? Or I leave it and I go, well, you know what? That didn't work out. Lesson learned. Next time I will do it this way, or I will do it that way, Being brave and making decisions and taking steps towards those sparks of ideas and inspiration in a safe environment like crafting or creativity or gardening or cooking or whatever it is that you do is building your muscles for trusting your intuition, trusting the messages that you're receiving from your higher self or from your spirit team or from your muse, if you want to call it your muse, right? Because a lot of artists work with a muse that, I think of it as being open to that channel of, inspiration messages coming through from beings other than myself. I do believe that that's the case, right? And I do believe that if you get a spark of an idea, it's sparked in many different places. So if you don't do something with that particular idea or spark, then somebody else may, right? So that's something I believe very strongly as well. I don't believe it just comes to us. I believe it also comes to others at the same time, right? That's creation. That's, for me, how it works. So some questions that you might want to ask is, how can you remain open to new inspiration and insights as you're doing and living your mundane tasks and life? How can you open yourself up to that? And one of those might be, starting a creative practice of some sort, or it may be something completely different. The next question is, what new possibility feels really good to you at this time? Have a think about what feels what's calling you, what feels powerful to you at this time, and how can you capture those ideas, those sparks of inspiration? I think I've mentioned before that I've got a book that I carry where I write down all my ideas in, and I just brain dump them in there, right? And if I want to, then at a later stage go back and go, you know what, I think I'm going to do some more thinking around that one. I'll pull it out and I'll do some work on it and I'll flesh it out a bit more. I don't always act on those because, I get to a point and I go, nah, that's not really speaking to me at this time. And I let it go. But at least I've captured that initial idea. I've captured that inspiration. I've captured that thought. I've captured the potential of what that might be for me. And then I can either choose not to progress with it or not. So how can you bring that into your life as well? And how can you, and this is another important one, how can you raise your energy and enthusiasm so that you're more open to taking on these ideas? And I know for a fact that when I was in that more mundane place, that more, blinkers on, just doing the tasks that I needed to do every day to, feed and help support my family, I didn't have or wasn't aware or have clarity around how to raise my energy and enthusiasm so that if I did see something that sort of captured my attention, I could then, be at least have enough enthusiasm in my life, in my feeling at that time to go, oh, I might have a think about that. I might give it a go. Because I know for me, especially if I'm doing tasks that I don't particularly enjoy, my enthusiasm and excitement goes really flat, right? And when I'm in high enthusiasm, in high excitement or high, feeling productive and energetic, that is when I'm more likely to grab onto these ideas. And for me, one of the things that I've learned about myself is that when I'm feeling really flat, really unenthusiastic, not really engaging in things that I think are or believe that are important to me or that are beneficial to me, I try to raise my energy, and I do that by dancing. I do that by walking outside in fresh air. So they're the two things that I know I can do immediately that pick my energy up straight away, and boom, I'm straight there within 5 minutes or so of being able to, capture that energy and do something with it, right? To be able to then think, no, I'm up, I'm going, I'm going to do this now. So what is something, or how can you raise your energy and excitement levels to help you feel like you want to take on some of these ideas and inspirations that may be coming to you, but you don't yet have the energy or the willpower to deal with them. So some really strong positive energy with the Ace of Wands today, really strong positive energies. And I do feel that the energy, as I said earlier on, is lifting. Well, that's all I have for you, dear ones. Enjoy your day. I hope that the spark of inspiration, the spark of enthusiasm, the spark of excitement is in your life at this time. And if not, how can you, be gentle and compassionate with yourself, but also help you raise your energy levels a little for you to be able to participate in something that may be there, but you're not yet feeling ready to tackle. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.